Doc, I think I'm having trouble rapping. I can't really get my words out because I need an Oh, wow. Coming to nominated because I'm going to be the mediator, but even if I hate up against a veteran, I'm an opponent feeling like you won in the morning and when I...
Welcome to After Playlist, the podcast that's all about digging up great music, both new and old, and cooking up curated playlists made by real people. That's me. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Lee.
And I am Terry Yo. You saw that?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of After Playlist. And here on After Playlist podcast, we love music and we love talking about it. In today's episode, we're actually doing a deep dive. And it's all about the legendary American rapper from Chicago, Twista. Today, we're going to be talking about Twista's career, his signature speedy chopper style flow, its importance, and controversies within the hip-hop industry, as well as explore a collection of songs that I personally chose for this deep dive that I feel showcases his style, versatility, lyrical abilities, I don't know, like a good generalization of some of his better songs, not better, but some of my favorite and some of his better songs over the decades. Some questionable, but, I had to throw a whole grab bag in there. So take it with the grain of salt.
I mean, you did make this playlist pretty much on your own.
Yes, definitely.
I am a big Twista fan, but I have not really this is going to be very good for me, just going through this deep dive because, and the playlist itself was very good for me because being a big fan, he's kind of been one of those kind of blank spots in my discography knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so. and there's good reason for that as well, but we'll get into that.
But so you picked 27 songs.
I mean, a very small playlist.
Very small playlist, which is only like an hour and a half-ish.
About 2 hours worth of music, but it's fine.
But it's good. It's all great. And just so everyone is familiar with the songs that we're going to be referring to from the playlist throughout this episode, I'm going to go over them right now for everybody here. Starting at the top of the playlist, we have The Day After by Twista featuring Syleena Johnson. Get Me by Twista. Overdose, Twista. American Gangster, Twista. Intro by The Brat featuring Millie Jackson and Twista. Smoked Out by Tear the Club Up Thugs and 3-6 Mafia. Is Tear the Club Up Thugs? Is that one group?
It's
I was confused on this.
It's a whole thing. So there's 3-6 and then there's Tear the Club Up Thugs. They're kind of like overlapping groups.
Okay.
With one or two different members, but yeah.
And of course that's...
Yeah.
I was going to say, of course, it's also featuring Twista.
Mm-hmm.
Then Midwest Invasion by Layzie Bone featuring Twista. Like a Pimp remix by David Banner featuring Twista and Busta Rhymes. Is That Yo Bitch by Jay-Z featuring Missy Elliott and Twista. Got to Have It by Benny Siegel featuring PD and Twista. Then we have Spit Your Game by the Notorious B.I.G. featuring Crazy Bone of Bone Thugs and Harmony and Twista. Warm Embrace by Twista and the Speed Knot Mobsters. Cocoa Butter Kisses by Chance the Rapper featuring Vic Mensa and Twista. Pimp, Do or Die featuring Twista. Slow Jams by Twista featuring Kanye West and Jamie Foxx. Then we have Smile by Alchemist featuring Twista and Maxwell. Don't Hate Me 112 featuring Twista. It is 112, right? Okay. Doubted myself on that. Then we have Nice and Slow, the B-Rock Basement remix by Usher featuring Twista and Diddy. Dance to the Rhythm by Jared Galaw and the Rave Republic featuring Twista and Nazarene. Stolen Car, Take Me Dancing, the B Recluse mix. That's by Sting featuring Twista. Where Do We Go by Young Berg featuring Twista. Moses by Apathy featuring Twista and Bun B. Why by Prozac featuring Twista and Tech Nine. Wake Up Call by Ritz featuring Twista and Yellow Wolf. The World Is Mine by Twista featuring Do or Die and Church Boy Scotty. Slide by Flames Oh God featuring Twista. And finally, Burning in My Soul, Just a Freak by, again, Syleena Johnson featuring Twista and Shauna. So if you haven't already listened to the songs that I just outlined and that we're about to discuss, about to spend a long time discussing them, we do recommend you go check out the direct links to the music playlists. Those are found below in the description, aka the show notes. And yeah, we put that together for your listening pleasure. So please go and listen and then circle back. Listen to us talk about it.
Awesome. And before we dive into this special deep dive episode, we have our after playlist disclaimers. Number 1, we respect everyone's opinions, regardless of how wrong or awful it may be. Number 2, Twista is known for his speedy rap style and amazing flow. However, this podcast will remain at normal speed. If you want us to be like Twista, you can hit the 1x or 2x time speed button and we can sound just like Twista. However, our brains may be still lagging behind.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially today. I am giving y'all a definite disclaimer. You're going to hear some paper rattling. You're going to hear all kinds of syntax errors. We're going to do the best we can to come across this because there's a lot of information, but it's worth it. And then lastly, number 3, just talking about the music mostly. But since this is a deep dive-ish kind of episode, we may get into some of the artists' questionable, personable, potentially cancelable decisions, but we're neither condemning or condoning those decisions. So just take it with a grain of salt. We're just talking about the music, people. It's really not that deep.
Yeah. We just care about the music. We don't care about anything else. We might touch on it, but only in regards to the music. Yeah. And lastly, if you're enjoying the podcast, please be sure to give us a like and subscribe to the podcast. You can do that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Yeah, that's the easiest way to share and support the show. So thank you in advance for that. And without further ado, let's get twisting.
Hey, let's get twisted. I like that. All right. So before we get into it, I want to talk about the origins of this playlist as well as the organization of this playlist. So there is a little bit of order, but then also there's not. So for this playlist in general, for those who are uninitiated, I wanted you to hear Twista on its own for the most part in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then once you get to Intro by the Brat, from that point on, it's mostly him having guest features. Yeah, mostly features and such. That's not to say that he doesn't have more solo material, but I just really wanted to focus on the features for me for this discussion in particular. But he has, at this point, 11 actual album releases, and then dozens of additional mixtape releases in between these different albums. So there's a lot of Twista out there to get your feel. Not all of it's great, but most of it is good. I'll put it that way, in my opinion. So for this playlist, I just wanted to kind of get you started with, okay, this is just Twista on his own, just going ham, going off, just blasting all the way off lyrically. And then I want you to kind of get the feeling of him popping up on other people's songs. As far as the origin of the whole concept of this episode, it actually started with one of the songs that's on this playlist. And it's actually the Stolen Car dance Take Me Dancing with Sting. Because that song is a good story. And we just recently did our storytelling too. So I was holding that song for storytelling part 2. But then I was thinking about it. I was just like, well, we've already had Twista on a couple other playlists that kind of just pops up sporadically, not intentional. But I was just like, it's a good song, but then I don't want to just do just that one. And then there's another song that I did not include on this playlist called "Is This the End" with Diddy and Twista, because they did a song together. They did a part 1 and a part 2. Great storytelling songs. I just don't want to torture you with another Diddy song.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I do have a soul, contrary to popular belief. So then I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh man, that's it. But Twista's so awesome, and one of my favorite things is looking at listening to somebody else's song, and then a random Twista versus pops up. Like it
Yeah,
gives me joy.
same.
It gives me glee.
Same.
And then I thought about that. I was like, I wonder what it'd be like. You know what? I think I probably should put together a playlist of just all my favorite Twista features, or not all of them, but like a good majority of my favorite Twista features. And then I was just like, hold up. I don't think I know much about Twista. So thus, this episode was born out of that. Before this playlist, were you familiar with any of these songs on here at all that you may have came across?
I think literally like 2 or 3.
Okay.
Cocoa Butter Kisses, which I'll definitely want to spend some time talking a little bit more in depth later on.
Mm-hmm.
The Wake Up Call with Ritz and Yellow Wolf.
Okay.
I believe I'd heard that just like literally once or twice at some point in the past. And then I think it was Slow Jams. I think that one's popped up randomly.
Okay.
For me, but none of them, outside of Cocoa Butter Kisses, none of them was where I was I intimately, like I'd heard a lot. Like Cocoa Butter Kisses is the only one I've heard like a ton. And pretty much every other song outside of those 3 I just listed, I had never even heard of.
Okay.
Well, I guess I was familiar with, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was familiar with the song title of Po Pimp because he talks about it in, I forget the name of the song, but it was from our like
Jordan Lucas.
Our like feel good playlist. He talked about that song. Was it All Right? I'm Gonna Be All Right.
Yep.
Yeah, he talked about, because that was like one of his like breakout songs where he was like working at the car wash or something. I want to say he talks about in All Right, and then he was like making Po Pimp at the time. So I was familiar with the title of that, and I was kind of excited you put that on here because I had meant to go back and listen to Po Pimp after we had that playlist in that episode, and that song from all that, but I completely forgot to. So that was nice to finally hear the song that was referenced from All Right.
Sweet. Yeah, that's funny because Po Pimp was my first time being introduced to Twista as a youngling back in the day.
Pretty great introduction.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so much so that I thought his name was Po Pimp. So anytime I heard him on a song, I was like, oh, that's
Po Pimp.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's Po Pimp. And then I realized, I was like, hold on, I don't think his name is Po Pimp. And when I got a little bit older, I was like, oh, his name is Twista. The song was called Po Pimp, which is funny because I was in doing my little research for this. In one of the interview videos I watched, one of the hosts asked him, they're like, so what is Po Pimp? He was like, look, Chicago, I wasn't necessarily in the whole pimping thing, but he was pimping culture was around him. So they kind of admired it, coming up as a youth. And they were just like, look, we ain't there yet. We just some broke pimps, aka some Po Pimps. So they're not fully formed pimps yet, but once they get right, we'll be fully pimps by then. So that's what that song was kind of paying homage to that whole sound. Still in the struggle, but still trying to pimp while you ain't got nothing. Take that for what it's worth. Again, go back to the disclaimers. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the quick bio. Twista, birth name, Carl Terrell Mitchell, was born November 27, 1973. Better known by his rap name Twista, is an American rapper from Chicago, Illinois. He is renowned for his fast-paced, chopper-style flow, a delivery that has earned him the title of the world's fastest rapper. Back in 1992, the Guinness Book of World Records recognized him for being able to pronounce 598 syllables in 55 seconds.
Which is mind-blowing.
Yeah, because I can barely get a word out in a minute, the way my brain works sometimes.
Exactly.
So his lyrical speed basically during the early stages of hip hop definitely made him stand out and became like a signature sound. And then so much so that his style over the years became a point of controversy, actually. So when he first started out, his rap name wasn't just Twista. He actually started out, I think his original rap name was Cavalier, and then he eventually became Tongue Twister, and he released his first album as Tongue Twister.
I was wondering, I know you told me not to really research anything, but that was one big question I had, is where the name Twista comes from.
Yes.
So that makes a lot of sense because he raps so fast that it's, for any other normal non-alien rapper person, it's everything he raps is a giant tongue twister. That makes sense.
Absolutely. So that was his first that was his first rap name, and that's where he released his first album back in 1992 called "Running Off at the Mouth" as Tongue Twister. And one of his debut songs was "Mr. Tongue Twister," which I'm about to play for you right now.
Okay.
Okay. So now that you've had a chance to process that and hear that, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, I had two thoughts come to my mind while listening to that. First and foremost, very wise. I don't know if it was his own thinking or some veteran or producer gave him the advice, but yeah, dropping the tongue off of his name was great move. First of all, very smart. Just branding purposes and just everything about that was great.
Yeah.
Great move. Second, so I was kind of planning to talk about this a little bit later on, but this was just such a good moment to go and bring it up. Because I guess he's had this trait like from the get-go. One of my favorite things about Twista is obviously, you and me are, if you're at all a fan of the podcast, you should know we're very big like speed rap, chopper style of rap fans just in general. So of course I love the fact that he can rap so fast and string all these crazy syllables together in such a short, crazy time. But it's his ability to be like, he dips in and out of that.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be going like 10,000 miles a minute word wise. And then he'll in the middle of one line is that. And then the next line, he drops it down to like a normal, almost speaking like cadence, right? You can really easily understand every word he's saying. And then he goes right back into the super speed. And his ability to drop in and out of that is just like kind of unparalleled, I feel like, in the chopper rap world. Like a lot of other rappers are either like super fast or they're have another flow, but it's somewhat more rare, I feel like, to be dipping in and out constantly like he does.
Yeah. So in an interview that I saw, he brought that up actually. So the way he approached his chopper's flow, well, there's multiple ways, but one thing that he kept in mind is he wanted to be true to the art form to where he could perform it live. Whereas there are some people, like you said, that just go chopper throughout the whole thing
for like 4.5 minutes straight, and it's
4.5 minutes straight.
Where do you breathe?
Yeah, they did. They just edited it out in the studio,
right?
And just chopped it all together and just punched in at this point and punched in at that point to make it seem like a whole seamless flow or whatever. So, so like in his mind, he was like, well, realistically, somebody will take a breath here. So let me pause here for a second and then go back into it, just to make it easily for him to perform down the line, as well as other people who wanted to follow along could potentially,
they don't have to be, you
don't have to be
like
a full-on robot.
It's still like, even with that though, it's still so tough. Like he's truly on another level when it comes to the speed that he can rap.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like I have a question for you. Okay, so that was like his kind of breakout. Was speed rap like really a thing? Like even close to this level before Twista burst onto the scene?
No, and that's part of the controversy. So here's the thing. So when he came out back in 1991, you can clearly tell that was a 1991 sound. So when he came out, it was a lot of things that were going on. So like let's take the time machine back. So hip hop is a relatively new sound that's gaining mainstream success, but it wasn't really super diverse. You had East Coast sound, and then eventually you had West Coast. And then West Coast and East Coast, they kind of were the dominant forces. Southern hip hop wasn't making a lot of noise. Florida, Miami hip hop, Texas hip hop wasn't making a lot of mainstream noise. Not to say that those didn't exist, but they weren't really crossing over to mainstream yet.
More like the end of the decade, right? That they started like blowing up. End of the decade, into the early 2000s ish.
No, it was more in the middle, because like NWA and all them started coming around like 93, 94 ish, around that time. But this is in 91.
Aren't they East Coast?
NWA?
Yeah, they're from Compton, aren't they?
California?
Or I meant West Coast. I'm sorry. I said East. I meant
Yeah.
West. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. My bad.
I'm about to say
I was just a slip of the tongue.
I was okay. Whew, I was like, man, look, we're gonna start the whole whole
I said,
podcast
'cause I
all
thought
over
you
again.
were. I thought you were saying that they were from the Midwest, like Twista is. That's what I thought you were saying.
No. The point I was alluding to was that Midwest hip hop wasn't mainstream at all. Good, because it was nothing. It was just East Coast and pretty much primarily West Coast. Like it was just those dueling sounds. And then if you were from somewhere else, you emulated the New York sound or whatever else, because those were the dominant forces at that time.
Right.
So then when Twista came out, not to say that he was the only Chicago rapper, but when he came out and got signed, he was the first mainstream rapper out of Chicago to get a major record deal. So much so that he ended up signing with Loud Records, which is a legendary record label within itself. Twista was the very first signee to this label. So when he signed to Loud Records, that's when Mr. Tongue Twista and all that stuff came out. Now, as far as the significance of Loud Records will go on to sign other acts that you may have or may not have heard of.
And they're based in Chicago?
No, they're based in New York. But yeah, Loud Records went on to sign little no name acts like the Wu-Tang Clan, Mobb Deep, 3 6 Mafia, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so, a bunch of nobodies,
complete nobodies. Like I mean, like groups that have not lasted the test of time at all.
Not at all. No,
no. But yeah. So with him being the very first like signee to this, what was a production company at the time, and then later became a record label, it was like a big deal for the city of Chicago. So much so that the city of Chicago said, "Get that fast shit out of here. What the fuck are you talking about?" They did not like him in Chicago when he came out. So what happened was when he ended up getting signed, because like while he was in Chicago, some connect whatever big wig dude whatever ended up taking his mixtape out to L.A. A lady in L.A. liked it. It was like, oh yeah, go ahead and sign him. And then he got on Loud Records and that was promoted out there in L.A. and other areas. So they treated the song as a novelty song because people were requesting a song on the radio. Radio was something that was invented to play music in your cars before CDs and streaming, before Spotify. And to hear a song, you had to pick up a telephone.
Call in and request.
Yeah. Call in and request a song. And then depending on the mood of the DJ, you may or may not get the song. Because as a youngling, I called the radio station multiple times to hear a song and he would not play the song. And by the 5th time I called, he cussed me out and hung up in my face. And I never called a radio station after that again. Yeah. By the time the song blew up in, California on the West Coast and blew up in New York a little bit as a novelty, like, oh, yo, check this song out. It's, it's pretty fast or whatever else. Then folks in Chicago was like, okay. All right. We cool with it now. But initially he did not get a lot of respect because, again, his style was new. It was revolutionary at the time, and people, he was like, there were a couple, it's too fast. Like I can't play this on the radio. So they're like, no, we're not fucking with that. So then by the time the second album came along, he actually asked to be dropped from Loud Records so he can go do his independent thing. So he did a second album called Resurrection. And that album, which I don't think I listened to because I found this out a little bit after the fact, was an album that he wanted to challenge himself as an MC. So he rapped fast, but he didn't really focus on that part as much because he wanted to show his versatility because he didn't want to be pigeonholed as the fast rapper at the time. But this is him doing this independently as a new artist. And I forgot to mention that his first album, when he released it, he was 18 years old, 18, 19. So that's why his voice is kind of as squeaky and high as it was.
Makes sense.
Which even when he reflected back on it, he was like, kind of think about it. Maybe I kind of started rapping fast because I hated my rap voice because I was hoping that my bass would kick in, but my bass didn't kick in at all until like my 20s. So he was like, I kept sounding like I was so squeaky. So he was like, maybe if I go faster, it won't sound as bad.
People won't notice.
But yeah, so he ended up dropping his second album called Resurrection, and basically wanted to challenge himself as an MC. Coming out of Chicago.
Was he still tongue Twista?
No.
On the second one, he had dropped the tongue by that point?
Yeah. He had dropped, whoa.
Bruh.
Oh, yeah. He had dropped the tongue at that point. Okay, so so around that time, there's another legendary hip hop MC that was coming out of Chicago at the same time. A rapper by the name Common Sense, who later became just Common because
Just Common, right.
you dropped the sense off. And again, Chicago, Twista's doing his thing independently at this time. Common Sense was signed to a major record label, and his second album was coming out. His album was also called Resurrection. So complete coincidence between both of them releasing albums the same year, weeks apart. Twista had an album called Resurrection. Common had an album called Resurrection.
Yeah.
At the same time. Both rappers from Chicago. Must have been something in the air.
Yeah.
Around that time.
Something in the food or the water.
For real. Like that was just a whole coincidence. But obviously Common had more success than Twista did, because around that time, again, independent and trying to do stuff on your own, and you're barely in the game. So it really kind of knocks
especially
him down
in the early 90s.
Yeah.
That was a much different time compared to now.
Much different time.
Artists.
Yes, much different time. A lot more legwork, a lot more physically demanding. Like that's when like what they used to call them back in the day, street team was like a requirement. You needed people on the street to kind of constantly keep pushing your material, right. And trying to put posters up in the record store and all that stuff to let people know your stuff was coming out. But that was between 92 and 94. Now we're gonna jump all the way to 1997. And that's when his third album came out. Called
took a little bit of break.
Well, a little bit of break by default. So jumping to 1997, that's when his third album, that's when he was riding the success of Pimp.
Okay.
Because at that time, like, he was hurting really bad from going independent, trying to do Resurrection. It flopped. So that hurt him financially. So he had to kind of quit rapping, get a real day job. That kind of knocked him down a little bit. And then that's when we go back to the verse that we was talking about with Jordan Lucas. When, he was like, yeah, I'm out here washing cars. And then old buddy from Do or Die was like, hey, I got this song. I need you to get on this song. And that song, Pimp, with Do or Die, literally changed the trajectory of his whole career, because that song was an independent song that caught like all kinds of waves in Chicago. And then so much so that the labels came in, scooped up both Do or Die and Twista. Do or Die ended up signing with Rap A Lot. Twista ended up signing with Atlantic, and then later on did Adrenaline Rush. Jumping back into the playlist, the songs on the playlist are not in album release order at all. They're kind of just vibe based. However, I did put some of his older songs kind of towards the top of the playlist, but still intermixed in within. And then some of the more recent songs are at the very tail end of the playlist. So yeah, Overdose is from 1997.
It's one of my favorites, actually. It's a really good song.
I love it so much, and I love the ending. They just had to cut him off. Just like, hey,
bro, what are you doing, bro? Slow down, man.
Nah, man. Like I'm trying to let people know I'm in the zone, dog. Nah, they don't felt you, man. Let's go to the next song. Damn.
Yeah, right.
You just in the booth, just still flowing. Like, yo, we ran out of tape. The computer will shut off. Like, stop rapping.
It's kind of a good play on the title of like you're getting an overdose of Twista.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Yeah. So this is where things get a little crazy. So this is back in 97 with the Adrenaline Rush, and that's like one of his mostly critically acclaimed albums and so forth. And people love that album to this day, like from top to bottom. Like he just felt the hunger. He felt like he was coming into himself as an MC. That album is just phenomenal. It didn't do as well because the label was, doing label things.
And that was Atlantic at this time, you said? Yeah,
Atlantic, yeah. Things got weird because we didn't get a Twista album, a proper Twista album from 1997 all the way to 2004. So that was a long time.
Yeah.
To not be able to drop music. And that's because he was in various different label lawsuits with the label holding him back from releasing music. So thus he started doing independent stuff on the side, dropping mixtapes, including doing like a separate project with the Speed Knot Mobsters from Chicago. Thus, the song I included on here, Warm Embrace, which is one of my favorite songs from that project. And a couple other side projects called Legit Ballers and a couple other things that he did on the side to keep his name relevant. But Atlantic was like, hey, you dropping albums, but you ain't dropping albums with us. We got problems with that. And so they kept going back and forth, and all that good stuff. This is where I got the excitement of when Twista would pop up, because I never got a full proper album outside of Adrenaline Rush. So when I would hear somebody else's song and see Twista was on a guest spot list, I was like, oh, I gotta hear this song. I gotta find this song. Oh man, I got super excited.
Well, that also makes sense if you're having a span of time where there's no like just Twista music, right? If he's unable to make any albums at that time, all you have are Twista features, right? For that time period.
Exactly.
So yeah, I totally get that. It's like, yeah, he's so good and we love him so much that I could imagine exactly what you just said. Like, you just get a surprise Twista verse. You're like, oh my God, yes. Mm-hmm. Where have you been?
Absolutely. So around that time is when I would acquire music, and I would search diligently for songs featuring Twista. And 9 times out of 10, I didn't give a crap about who the original artist was. I would just like sit there and wait patiently, like, okay, Twista's coming. And then I'd be like super excited. I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, I know you're going to kill it. And I would say 8 to 9 times out of 10, I would like the song because Twista's verse on it. Mm-hmm. And that's what would later either make me just love that song indefinitely, or make me go and like that artist that he chose to collaborate with. Because if he's going to go that hard on the verse on somebody else's song, that means this person is worth me listening to as well. So then I will also go back and check that artist out.
Yeah, that's so funny. Just the irony that, because I have a similar, especially after this playlist, now that I'm like kind of more familiar with a lot of his like features and whatnot. I definitely have a similar perspective on that of like, oh, if Twista's hopping on a song with someone, that person is now someone I'm like, okay, well, Twista liked him, so I'll probably like him. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because another speed rapper who is on this playlist, Tech Nine, is also in the similar boat for me, where if Tech Nine like co-signs someone and he's like featuring on their song and it's someone I've never heard of, that makes me want to go and check them out. Like the other artists, check them out.
So speaking of Tech Nine, and thank you for bringing him up, because I meant to bring that up earlier and it slipped my mind. So I mentioned that like his style caused a lot of controversy, and it caused controversy because and like all of them have reconciled this now, but during the height of all of this time period, there was discrepancies of who started the chopping style. And then therefore resulted in beef amongst the different factions who may or may not have ever collaborated or even been remotely close to each other. But because your style is similar to mine, I don't like you, you don't like me, now we got beef.
I can see that because Tech Nine did come up right around the same time and also definitely struggled to like make a name for himself early on in like the early 90s.
Yep.
So I can say, but I don't know, because like they're both speed chopper, but they're also different. I feel like
they're different, but they're very similar, and like and they're, to me, they're like Mario and Luigi. Like they're different, but they're more the same than different.
Same, but different.
Just like pretty much almost like a palette swap, more or less. But still different, like different power set, but pretty much.
It could just be because I've listened to both of them pretty good bit. Yeah, especially Tech Nine. I don't know. Maybe I'm more easily able, and also I'm sure I'm probably somewhat biased because I have their entire decades of career up to this point that I've been listening to. So I'm definitely coming from like a modern viewpoint, whereas you're talking about like back in the time it was probably a little different if you just compare their early flows and whatnot.
Well, that, but just as a hip hop culture, because like that to me, like around that time was where, number one, there wasn't as much competition as far as the accessibility to get onto the radio and to release music, because there's a lot more gatekeepers. It was harder to get signed and all that stuff. Now, as we said many times in the podcast, we can sit here, in the middle of this podcast and fart out a, TikTok song if we wanted to, and put it out and be out before we even finish editing this episode if we wanted to. So the gates are super open. Back then it was more hard, but also there was also more cachet and more, requirement to stick to your own style. Like, don't bite my style, don't copy my style.
I was about to ask, was biting someone's style?
Oh yeah, that was offensive.
I know that, but like, was that a thing like from the inception of hip hop, or was that more like around like late 80s, early 90s that started becoming like oh man, this dude basically just ate my style, bit my style or whatever, and it was like a huge offense to the original artist. Like when if you know or can remember, when did that like start becoming such a hated thing in the community?
I feel like that's always been a core of the hip hop thing in general,
Okay.
like from the inception. But I think it became more, again, hip hop was still fledgling, early on. So if somebody were kind of copying your style, okay, it's the three of y'all. Okay. Like, it's
right.
okay. But then when you
once it started getting some traction.
Yeah, exactly. But then, once you work hard to finally make it, and then you got another competing record label or whatever signs somebody that sounds like you, looks like you, takes your whole style and swagger, it's like you just copy my whole formula, and they may or may not be more successful than you. But it's just the fact being that you're taking something that I created and duplicating it on this side. So you're basically ripping me off.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So like, to put it in a modern day fashion, is the way people feel about AI stealing people's artwork and stuff is how people felt about people stealing, my style and my originality. Because like that was the whole point of coming to the table of hip hop and everything else. It's like, bring your style, do you, be genuine to who you are, but don't come in trying to sound like the next Twista. Don't come in trying to sound like the next Ice Cube or the next Missy Elliott or whoever. Do you, and we can make it work, because it was more distinctive to, like, because you can tell who was what on the songs. You can have 18 rappers on a song, and exactly who was who, when was when, and all that good stuff.
Plus, just artists' credibility. Just in general, like authenticity, like all that. Like who wants to listen to an artist that they're just, everything about them is just copying someone else's, and they're not really making any creative, artistic decisions themselves? Like that's lame, man.
Exactly.
Don't be lame.
Exactly. Like put the work in. Like don't come here.
Make
and
your own. Stand on your own efforts. Basically.
Thank you. Right? Literally that.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
So that's where like Bone Thugs and Harmony had beef with Twista. Because Bone Thugs, based out in Cleveland, not in Chicago, but in Cleveland, they had their chopping style, but they added a harmony element to it, to where most of the time 4 members would rap, but would rap in harmony or sometimes sing in harmony while they're doing their thing, but still had the chopping style with it. So, like I said, Twista came out in '91. So for the most part, we pretty much can say that technically he was the first, but as far as to get mainstream success. But there are still different factions that be like, depending on who you talk to, when, and who were, they're like, well, such and such, this clique was already doing this chopping style in this city. Okay, the world wasn't connected way back when like that. Like you can't you can't just pick up a phone booth and like hear somebody chopping across the nation. Like it wasn't like that. So Bone Thugs and Harmony, they ain't fuck with Twista. They had diss records towards him and everything else. There was some other rappers or other areas that had beef. Even one of the members from the classic group Naughty by Nature, Tretch, he had a problem with Twista, so they had beef for a minute, all because it's just I ain't like your style, whatever else. They squashed all of that, and one of the songs that squashed it I included on this playlist, Midwest Invasion, with Layzie Bone, who was also part of Bone Thugs and Harmony when he was doing his independent stuff. Their producer is a mutual fan of both of them, and he was just like, what y'all mad about?
Y'all both get in here and let's
both y'all get on this song. It makes some magic. And that's where I like Midwest Invasion. Like, the song itself isn't my favorite, no, but the symbolism of the song itself,
that's really awesome. And that's a song that they speed up the beat, right, as it goes on. Am I mistaken in that? Or is it just
it kind of feels like it. It kind of feels like it.
If it doesn't actually speed up, then they add more stuff to it to give it that feeling of like more's going on, and it gets a little more hectic. And I feel like their flows, they kind of rap a little faster as the song goes on. So maybe that's more of what it is. But that just, again, Twista being Twista, like that having that like tied into their production of like it speeding up. If it isn't, I'm not just crazy. That made that song rather one of my favorite songs.
So yeah, so around this time is where, like I said, it's been a minute. So for me, listening, anytime I saw Twista pop up, that gave me joy and it gave me excitement. So much so, a good, now that I'm kind of thinking about it, like a good chunk of the first half after the Brat intro, like a lot of those are like songs that like, oh, Twista pop up, let's go, let's get it. Like he'll pop up on a random remix or he'll do something like offshoot of some other song and just be like, it just made me fall in love with the song. Like David Banner. David Banner's from Mississippi rapper. This is off of one of his earlier.
Crooked little eye.
Yep.
How he says that.
Yeah, humpback eye. But yeah, when he came out, Twista on the first verse, just dropped it. I'm just like, oh shit, like a pimp. I'm like, oh, okay, let's go. So that made me happy. Intro by the Brat.
That's a good one.
I love that one.
That one's a vibe, bro. That one, like, I don't know if that was the intent, but that one gets me amped up.
Yeah. It's the intro to her album in 2000 called Unrestricted. So that song was the intro on her album. And I saw, intro featuring, Twista. Okay, let's go. And then again, like that intro basically, it shows how much people have reverence for Twista, because the Brat, she's from Chicago, from the west side of Chicago. And her, coming out with this is like her second album at the time. Third. Okay. And there was a third album at the time coming out the gate. And she was like, yo, let me get my homeboy Twista to help me set this shit off. And then Millie Jackson. I didn't know who the hell Millie Jackson was. That wasn't in my wheelhouse at the time. But now that I did my research on it, that song is powerful. And the reason why is Millie Jackson, like back in the 70s, like she was a soul singer. But the way she performed on this song, she would do her monologues, aka her raps. So for Brat as an MC from Chicago, a female MC, to go back and get this legendary veteran to do a spoken word almost rap on her intro to her album, and then also get a co-sign for Twista, I'm quite sure that was like a full circle moment for her as far as like having the influences that made her who she is as an MC. So I love that. And the cherry on top of this song in particular, produced by Timbaland.
It does have that feel. Now that you say it, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The production is very on point for this song.
Yep. And the other secret Timbaland, because I can't help myself, is That Your Bitch, produced by Timbaland.
Well, I don't know, because that one, at least on YouTube, that one says Jay-Z and Timbaland, so I don't know if that's a secret or not.
No, not really a secret, but just want to throw it out there that it's produced by him. That was a callback to our secret Timbaland on my weird playlist. So around this time, what other songs were released during his hiatus?
Which, looking up, you're just going back to the Brat real quick, and an intro from her third album. That was in 2000, so he's already, you said between 97 and 04 was the span between his albums. So even if he was going through all those legal issues and everything, he was still cementing his place. Oh yeah, in the hip hop community at large, I guess. Especially, you said she's also a Chicago artist, so especially like in his hometown, he was already a pretty big name by that point, which is nice. Yeah. I mean, again, but by the time his third album, Adrenaline Rush, came out, he was already becoming somewhat of an OG as far as like representing the city of Chicago. Again, he was one of the first rappers out to rep the city of Chicago on the grand stage of hip hop, which is crazy with just like the musical history of Chicago in general. Yeah. So like that was not just immediately accepted. I don't know. That's just, I mean, hindsight, I guess, but yeah, different strokes, different folks. Some people just take a little while to come over, I guess, with it. Another one of the songs that I enjoyed as a kid, which I had to find deep in the crates, because like I know there's a version of the song where Twista was on it and I could not find it, and I finally found it, was the Nice and Slow remix with Usher. So that song, the original version of Nice and Slow, is dope. It's an Usher classic from back in '97. But that remix goes pretty hard in my opinion. At least it takes me back to my childhood of that sound, that almost Florida based sound. I don't know where B Rock produced it from or
where he's from as a producer, but I enjoyed it.
He produced it in his basement, apparently.
Hey, look at you reading. So then let's kind of fast forward a lot of it, because this is already going longer than I really thought it was going to go. But because I didn't take a lot of notes, but apparently I did. So let's fast forward. So let's get to 04. 2004 was when Twista found the most success ever with releasing his fourth album, Kamikaze. And that's the album that featured the hits Overnight Celebrity and Slow Jams. So that's when he really took off on the mainstream stage. And that album was where, he was, kind of riding a wave of popping up on these different songs, still staying relevant, getting co-signed from all coast, all different groups, all different cliques, from like, West Coast artists down south, making connections with, folks around New York, collaborating with people in Chicago, as well as, helping the next generation come up after him by doing guest spots on their stuff. So he stayed relevant while the major record label was trying to, hold him down and, stifle his career. But
he's got some awesome features on here for sure.
Yeah. So by the time Kamikaze came around, he reconciled with the record label, and they were able to kind of get him a solo deal. And when he did his solo deal, the budget got higher, so he was able to get more producers and get more guest artists and stuff like that on the album and such. So he was definitely riding the high, and he was able to get more features and also repay, be like, hey, I showed up on your stuff, now you can show up on mine, kind of
right
deal. So which I thought was pretty dope. Kamikaze from top to bottom. So that's another song from Kamikaze, Get Me. That's from Kamikaze. And it was either going to be that one or Kill Us All, I think.
The second on the album.
Yeah, so I was going before. I was tossing between both of those songs. But anyway, that album, there's really not much I can say about it. That album was basically nearly perfect and almost
apparently
everywhere.
It's still, according to YouTube, his most successful album, and it's certified double platinum.
Yep. To date, that was his most successful album.
Which I definitely know a few songs from this album. Like, I was familiar with Kill Us All. Like I said, I was familiar with Slow Jams, Overnight Celebrity. I think Slow Jams and Overnight Celebrity are definitely like the two biggest.
Yep, they are.
Probably off of here. And I think I feel like I've heard another one of these. Maybe So Sexy with R. Kelly, or I don't know. I've definitely listened to a few songs from this album in the past, though. So like, it makes sense that it's his most successful and stood the test of time.
Yep, I agree. So then we move on to the following album, the follow-up to Kamikaze, which was The Day After. And this album, he considers this the album that, I was still riding the wave, but the wave wasn't as hot. And he started to feel like he was losing his direction a little bit as an MC, as far as like making quality music that he felt proud of. And one thing one of the radio hosts commented on Twista's ability is to toe that line between being a street rapper, being, aggressive with the hood stuff, but also being commercial enough for songs to be played in the clubs and songs for the ladies. So he always, like, most of his albums kind of have a balance between that. And and like The Day After, and then some of the other albums after that, I feel like he kind of lost that balance. It either leaned too far commercial or leaned too far aggressive hood music or whatever. So, and I think that's where he was struggling to try to find that balance, and it showed with the final outcome of the project. The song, obviously, from The Day After is the first song on the playlist, The Day After, with Syleena Johnson. So I just like that collaboration with her and Syleena. And Syleena Johnson is also another singer from Chicago as well. So, and she's collaborated with Kanye West and on a variety of different songs, and still doing her thing to this day. Thus, the last song on this playlist is a this year release, actually.
Okay.
So then we go down to 2007.
That's crazy that 20 years later she releases an album. I mean, I'm sure they've probably collabed several times in between that, but
I know, right?
That's very for the playlist. It's very beautiful that you made that 2004 song open up and then end it with a very recent.
The song that just came out a couple months ago at the time of this recording.
Yeah,
it just came out. So I Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that is exactly why I did it, just to show that keep it in the family, keep it collaborating. Music is a wonderful thing. But then following up after the day after, then we had Adrenaline Rush 2007. So he said in hindsight he wished he would have named it something different, but he felt like those collection of songs that he was working on kind of felt like the vibe of the original Adrenaline Rush. So he wanted to kind of pay homage to that, and it was almost like, I mean, around that time it was 10 years? 10 years since that last album, I think. Am I not doing my math right? I think about 10 years since the release of the original Adrenaline Rush in 97. So I guess he wanted to kind of pay homage to that by releasing new music that was kind of still in that vibe. But even then, he still felt like, he was rapping his ass off, but he still was like not really. He felt like he still was in a shitty creative space at the time, but he still felt proud of some of the songs. But it was kind of like, I don't know, maybe that's him being hard on himself. I don't know.
YouTube doesn't even have that album on his list. Kind of messed up.
That's unfortunate.
It goes straight from the day after to Soft Buck.
To what?
Soft Buck Volume 1. It looks like it's like a mixtape or something.
That
it's got like 18 songs on it, but
it might be because I ain't listened to that one. So then after that, so after him feeling like he was in a shitty creative space and just wasn't really like, he still enjoyed making music. That's one thing that stayed constant through all of this, that he still enjoyed making music. It's just the quality of the music that he was producing was kind of dipping in and out.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he felt that like he needed to he needed a change. So after being jerked around with Atlantic Records for all these years, and then reconciling with them, getting all the legal stuff out the way so he can finally go back to releasing music and releasing albums on a more consistent basis, Adrenaline Rush 2007 was the last album that he did with Atlantic Records. And from that point on, he's essentially been independent. Mike, from that point on to this day, still an independent artist.
Which is impressive because, again, 2007, 2008 is, just a somewhat few short years, but it's still before the time of streaming and the kind of explosion, I'll say, of independent artists of all genres being able to like really make it through that avenue.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of like a trailblazer in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. And it definitely takes a certain mindset and setting up a good team, because you can't do all this. You can't do this by yourself at all. If you think you can, you're a fool. But to go independent and to try to, reclaim your sound and just kind of, I guess, for the lack of better terms, basically trying to relight your pilot light, I guess.
Right.
He needed to do something. So in 2009 is where he released Category F5. And this is the album that he felt like, he was riding the independent wave again. But, the records actually felt good to him despite the commercial success. So when he released the music on Category F5, he was like, if it sells, great. If it don't, great. This is the music. This is the caliber of music that I feel like I need to be at. And that's where I believe I got American Gangsta from.
Yep.
So I had to represent that.
Dang, there's some.
Okay, so
there's some fire features on here.
They're not. So that's what pissed me off. So I said the same thing. So I listened to American Gangsta. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a crazy feature. Then I listen to it. I'm just like, none of these people are on this song. And then I looked at it. I'm like, oh, somebody must say this must be a data entry thing, because it's like almost the same features on every song. And I'm just like, this don't.
I was sitting here looking at it like, man, Gucci Mane and Busta Rhymes are on here a lot.
Yeah.
But now that you say that, yeah, it's literally Gucci Mane, Busta Rhymes, Akon, and someone else that's blocked off. But yeah, they're on like 6 songs.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't think he can pay for that many features over and over and over again, unless he's gonna do a whole album together at that point. Like, that don't make any sense.
Right.
So either way, Category F5 is a solid album. I enjoyed it, but I really
American Gangster is a great song. That's the one that has the guitar Star Spangled Banner at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, you know, my love of Jimi Hendrix and our deep dive we did on him forever ago. I tried so hard. I searched. This is the only thing I really tried to search this entire last 2 weeks was I tried so hard to find out if that was a sample. Like, did they sample Jimmy in that? And as far as I could find, like the song is not even listed on like whosampled.com or anything. I couldn't find anything talking about the guitar at that. So they could have just got someone else. I mean, definitely by that point, Jimmy playing the Star Spangled Banner back at Woodstock was like a famous music moment most people would be familiar with. It probably wouldn't be too hard to get some unnamed guitarist to come in and just lay down so they didn't have to pay for anything. I mean, it's not, I knew how to play the Star Spangled Banner on guitar at like 10 years old, so it's not a hard thing to do by any means. But it definitely, of course, anytime I hear that, I think of Jimi Hendrix, and I was just super curious if maybe you were able to find out what the situation is with that. It drew me into the song immediately.
So what had happened was that was on my list of things to do that I tell myself every time I listen to the song. Oh yeah, I need to find out if that's Jimi Hendrix or not because I feel like it is. And then the song will wear cut off, and then I'll go into intro, and then the other songs, and then I'll forget about it again. So,
I was literally Googling it again yesterday while I was waiting on you to show up to the restaurant. Just want you to know.
Oh, nice.
I was like, what could I do? I'm sitting there waiting. I don't know. I'll finally Google this again. So maybe I can find something.
Nice. But yeah, so I definitely picked that partly because of the intro. Then also I love the beat and the way he just annihilated that. And then with the like with the snares and just him like just chopping with the
it is masterfully produced and performed on.
Yeah. So I'm just going to summarize the next 4 releases as pretty much the same. So with him, you know, going independent, obviously is more work, but all the next 4 albums that he released, he pretty much felt like, you know, he's still vibing with music more, but it just still wasn't quite feeling fully fulfilled as much. So the next couple albums after that was 2010's Perfect Storm, 2014's Dark Horse, 2017's Crook County, and 2019 Summer '96, which that album was, you know, he wanted to try to recapture that feeling leading up to Adrenaline Rush. So since Adrenaline Rush came out in '97, you know, had the album Summer '96, you know, trying to get back to the roots or whatever with all of that. So I say all that to say that, you know, one thing I learned about going through Twista's story and learning about him was that if one thing you can say about Twista is that he is consistent. No matter how hard, you know, he's going through financially, as far as, you know, financial support from the industry and all that stuff, the man doesn't stop. And I think that's partly because when he came in as Tongue Twister and failed so hard with the second album with Resurrection, and Pimp came out. I think that's what was like, that's the one thing that keeps driving him to this day. They're like, I'm not going back to washing cars again.
I mean, that's a solid motivator.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, that's my little mini deep dive on Mr. Mitchell, aka Twista. So at this point, let's get into the playlist real quick. I want you to take over and you tell me the songs that you vibe with the most or least or all that good stuff, because I'm legitimately curious.
Let me start off by saying 0 of the Twista verses from the playlist that I have a problem with. I loved it, literally, like you said, every single time, even if I maybe didn't like the original artist for the song that he was featuring with, or maybe another of the featured artists' verse, like even if I didn't like them, Twista would come in and would like essentially save the song in those cases for me.
Yes, and if you notice, he's always like the third verse, right?
He's oftentimes the closer, which is good because you want your closer to be like the best artist, I feel like. And
absolutely,
someone somewhere realized Twista was that, and they've stuck to that for the most part. I mean, I've literally vibed to all of these, dude. But I guess if I had to pick some favorites, one I kind of mentioned at the top, Cocoa Butter Kisses by Chance the Rapper, which I think is still arguably, if not the best, it's like top 3 to date Chance the Rapper songs, in my opinion. I may be heavily biased because like right around the time this album or EP or whatever it is, Acid Rap, that was like his first, Chance the Rapper's first piece of work. whenever that came out. Like I had friends that put me onto him pretty soon after that had come out. So I've literally been listening to this song. When did this come out? Like 2012?
Somewhere around there. I think 2012.
Yeah, it's a mixtape, not an album. But yeah, 2012 to 2013. YouTube has it listed as 2019. I was like, I know that's not right. Maybe it got re-released or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've literally been listening to this song for over a decade at this point. And this is I feel like this song is a great example of another thing that I've noticed when Twista features on a song is he's one of those artists, and especially I feel like nowadays, like by the time of 2012, 2013, Twista coming around, he was so cemented in the game, right? And he was so, even though he's doing his independent thing and all that, like he's just such a prolific artist at that point, that whenever someone gets him as a feature, it makes the original artist kind of step up their game a little bit.
Yes.
And that's why I think this is like one of Chance's best songs to date, because I feel like he probably got Twista's verse and was like, oh snap,
Let me go
I
back
gotta
and
step
redo
it
mine.
up. And it's in particular his second verse on the song that I feel like he like really, for Chance at least, he really like kind of pops off. And that's something that you don't, I feel like I'm not like 100% familiar with Chance the Rapper, but I've listened to a lot of his stuff and I feel like you don't see that often. But then of course, even with him doing that, Twista still comes in at the end and just like bodies everyone else. Like,
yes.
it's so good. The meaning of the song is also like,
It's
kind of
so
relatable.
sweet.
If you've ever done anything that's like, you know, your parents or your grandparents, like, you know, they don't approve of, and it's kind of like made that distance between you guys or whatever. And you just are reminiscing about whenever you were little and you would get, you know, hugs and kisses from your loved ones or whatever. And now it's like every time you are around them, they're just complaining because you smell like this, or you look like
stink.
that. Yeah. Which is like, you know, it's also fair. Like if you're smoking and everything, like totally fair for your mom and grandma to be like, I don't even want to hug you. You smell like, okay. A few other songs that really stood out to me is, Smile
Yes.
by Alchemist featuring Twista and Maxwell. That one, I love that one. Moses by Apathy featuring Twista and Bun B. I like Bun B's verse on that one.
Oh
Pretty
yeah.
good bit.
Oh yeah.
Of course, again, all of these Twista kills it, and it's like not even arguably, just like pretty much is my favorite, just de facto on pretty much all these his verse. But there's definitely some other phenomenal verses and features and whatnot on some of these songs. And I guess the last one that like really stood out to me, and again, it's probably my own bias, but Why by Prozac, because that has Twista and Tech Nine both on it. Like, and it's not credited like on like the song title or anywhere. It doesn't have like in parentheses featuring. So like I didn't know Tech Nine was gonna pop on until we just started going. I was like, oh, that's nice. Because it's the only time Tech Nine's on here. And like again, whenever I think of this like the speedy chopper style flow, I think Twista and then Tech Nine.
Yep.
Maybe depending on who's I've listened to more recently, that can kind of, you know, flip flop between who I think of first, but it's always those two. So to not have them at all like together on this playlist would have been a travesty. So I'm glad you at least had one song.
And then also I wanted to get Yellow Wolf in the mix as well. As far as like, you know, somebody that can, you know, get up there in speed, you know, with Twista and everything from the
and Ritz too. I mean, he's not, I wouldn't say Ritz is like known as a speed rapper, but he can pick up the flow a little bit.
Yeah.
He does that from time to time. He got a little bit of speed to him.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't put him in the same like chopper category per se, but yeah, he's got some speed.
Somebody asked him as far as like collaborating with the other choppers or whatever, and he said, I think the quote was, "I hate love working with Tech Nine and Busta Rhymes." Like,
which was another one. Yeah, you have a few songs with him and Busta Rhymes on here, or a couple, I think.
Yeah. So he was like, "Yeah, I hate love working with them." He was like, "I can't like with them. I got to show the fuck up. Like I can't
He
just
really does. You can't rest on your laurels with them."
He was like, "I can't just come in and just like rap some shit and walk out. With them, I got to put the motherfucking work in because like them boys work. It was like it ain't no beef, ain't no issue. Like I love them to death, but I just know if I'm doing a song with them or they own a song with me, I gotta step it up."
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Busta was not like much longer after Twista was coming out that he started coming out, right? Like he's also like more mid 90s, but still like early 90s, right?
No, technically Busta came out in the 80s with I think it's Leaders of the New School. So like I think that's where Busta Rhymes came from before he went solo.
Did he not have like the speed style at that point?
Busta's speed style kind of came later on. Like he was more energy based, just like aggressive with all the music and stuff, like with his flows. Woo-ha! He was all that extra aggressive energy and stuff. So he was known for that. And then he started getting faster with the flows and all that stuff, and going to the Haitian, Jamaican, patois stuff a little bit more. So like that's where Busta's speed and stuff and has grown over the years. Similar to Eminem. Eminem wasn't a fast rapper at all when he first started, and all of a sudden he just started going fast. That's true. Out of nowhere.
Like when Rap God came out, everyone was like, "What?"
Yeah, like where does this come from? So, I wanted to feature another song on here that has Shawnna in it, because Shawnna is also another rapper from Chicago. Right. And Shawnna was famously signed with DTP with Ludacris and came out with Ludacris with What's Your Fantasy. Like that was her claim to fame, as well as
I kind of associate them together a lot of times.
Exactly. And then she had her solo, moment, with getting some head and all that stuff. But even then she wasn't really like going fast, but she can keep up with Twista when it comes to the flows a little bit. This song in particular didn't show that skill set, but I did want to feature that song because I saw, it's Syleena Johnson, Twista, and Shawnna, like all three people from Chicago, still collaborating to this day. And the fact that this is a recent song that came out a couple months ago to show that Shawnna is still doing things. Because when she first came out, that was like 2000, with What's Your Fantasy with Ludacris. And just wanted to remind people that Chicago still they still exist. They still putting some work into the game or whatever. So
which Kanye is also originally from Chicago, right? He's Chicago based.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there's been a few.
Yeah, and I think Jennifer Hudson as well. She's from Chicago, I believe so.
Well, I was gonna say a rapper specifically, but
rapper specifically, yeah. Yeah, there's been a few. I mean, like Youngberg and a couple people there. My mind is escaping at the moment, but yeah, cool beans. I don't think I have anything else of importance I wanted to go over.
I will say one other song I just really like. I think just because it's a little different on the playlist is "Dance to the Rhythm."
Yes,
that's just a very fun mix of that. I don't know what exactly you want how to classify that, but it's just a fun song. Adding the dance EDM, dance to the rhythm, and then you just have Twista come in later on. It's like blowing it up. It's great.
Yeah, it's certified Unsi. And I wanted I just stumbled across that one. I was just like, what is this? And then I heard it. I was like, is this an EDM track with Twista on it? And at first I thought, I was like, okay, maybe this is like a mashup. And I'm listening to it, I was like, oh no, this ain't no mashup. Like he legitimately rapped on this. I was like,
that's definitely a song that if you heard on the radio, and again, the radio was something back before streaming that if you wanted to listen to music, you had to call in, and sometimes they wouldn't always play what you wanted them to. But yeah, if you just randomly heard this song on the radio back in the day, that you would definitely, if you weren't familiar with it already, at least, it would be a surprise after Twista verse come in, because this is just not something I would assume Twista is going to just pop up on if you're just listening to it the first time. The first time to the playlist, I was like, Twista's on this song? Really? Mm-hmm. Okay, what's this? How's this going to be? And then it just as he always does, he blew me away. So I wanted to point that one out too.
I am curious on what your thoughts are on Stolen Car, the remix with Sting.
I loved it. I thought the first time I was listening to it, I was like, it was another one where first, just at the beginning, I'm like literally just the first few seconds, I'm like, okay, this is a Twista song. What? I just had the playlist playing. I wasn't really actively looking at it as each song was coming up. But that was when I had to stop and tap my screen to wake up and be like, who is this? Well, that was great. I understand why you said this was one of the songs that kind of made you want to make this playlist. It was one of the first ones you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I totally understand why that would be the case.
Yeah, because the story behind that song is the guy stole this guy's car, but while he's stealing the guy's car, you're just like, oh, I wonder what that life is like. Yeah, I was like, that's such a high thought.
It's a very unique perspective for a song. Yeah,
he's like, yeah, I've done this before. Yeah, I can go steal this car.
It's literally just imagining their life throughout the song. It's interesting, but again, it's freaking, Sting is another music legend, right?
Yeah, just randomly.
That's another thing too, is Twista is one of those artists that I really feel, and again, Stolen Car or Dance to the Rhythm kind of highlight that. But I really feel like he is like a cross genre fiend almost, where you can have someone that's like a rock star or, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Twista's been on a country song or two somewhere. Or like if he hasn't been, I'm sure without a doubt he could if he wanted to.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I believe he said like his chopping style actually lends to that.
Yeah,
like, to like anything that's melodic, like he can just ride that wave and just kind of just figure the flow. Because there's a interesting clip that I'll probably include in the show notes of him trying to rap his speed flow slower, but the cadence doesn't match.
Yeah.
So he was like struggling with it. Same thing with Tech Nine. Tech Nine was like,
he can't rap slow. I've seen interviews where Tech Nine said that exact thing. Like trying to slow it down, he like is stumbling over every word. I assume it's similar for Twista. Random fun fact. I just Googled Twista just to see what he looked like. Because I had, like, before I even listened to the playlist, I had a very different idea in my head of what he looked like. But in the course of Googling, I randomly saw a picture and just a quick caption. I just read it without ever meaning to. But apparently he has a love of puppets as well. And ventriloquism. Apparently, according to the article, he started getting interested in that around age 10, thanks to the 1978 thriller Magic. I'm not at all familiar with that movie, but I assume it has some kind of dummy or puppet or ventriloquism or a combination of all that somehow. But yeah, apparently he's been doing it according to the article and like the interview they had with him. Like if he was on tour and the tour bus stopped off at a gas station, they had a little like Muppet or something, he would just pick it up and just start like amazing all the homies on the bus, he would say. And just like, it's just something he's always done on the side. And I only discovered this because, like I said, I had a very different image of like what Twista looked like in my head for some reason. I pictured him as this like really tall, skinny dude with like dreadlocks for some reason. I don't know why I had that image in my head.
2 Chainz? Like you just described 2 Chainz.
I mean, okay, similar to, I didn't picture 2 Chainz in my head, but honestly, yeah, kind of similar looking to 2 Chainz for some reason. I don't know why, just his voice. I've never really like paid attention to like album covers or anything whenever he's come on, or again, most of the songs I've heard of his, like the playlist, are features that he's on someone else's song, so it's not going to show his image on the album cover or whatever, right? And so I guess I just had this weird image just based on his voice randomly. You know, sometimes you hear someone's voice and you just conjure up what they look like in your head and it's totally wrong. Oh, yeah. So I just Googled his name. I was like, let me see what this guy actually looks like. And then it was one thing where as soon as I Googled him, I was like, oh no, I definitely have seen him before. I just didn't recognize or didn't remember. But anyways, it was like literally the 4th or 5th picture on Google, at least for me, whenever I Googled Twista, and it was just a picture of him with a lookalike dummy that he calls Lil Twista that he made. And that was like the kind of like what spawned the interview, I guess, for Rolling Stone. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Oh god.
So yeah, just on top of it, there's like videos you can find of him literally being a ventriloquist with different dolls and whatnot. So just to add a little bit of extra flavor to the artist that is Twista, you know, we contain multitudes as people. So this is just another sure example of that.
Absolutely. On that note, tell us what you think we look like.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen a picture of us randomly on the internet somewhere, or if you want a Muppet chopping at various speeds, ventriloquist style, I have nothing.
I mean, I would like to see that, honestly, now that you said it.
Oh, God, that sounds fascinating. Either way, you know what to do. Go to attheplaylist.com and follow our social media links there. Find previous episodes, previous playlists. Again, like and share this episode as well as this music playlist. It helps support the show. If you want to do a little bit more, you can check out our Black Giraffe community over at blackgiraffemadethis.com. We will have some exclusive content and some other little goodies there soon, /eventually, /one day, or it may be there right now. Who knows? Until next time, keep on listening.
Keep on listening as slow or fast as you can. Bye.
Black Giraffe made this.